Your favorite sports card influencer sucks, and today I'm going to tell you exactly why that is the case. We are going to use Mojosports as a bit of a case study here because there's a now deleted Instagram comment exchange that I think is really relevant to talk to and, really highlights how so many of these influencers and content creators in the sports card hobby let themselves down, but more importantly, let us down as their fans, as collectors, as viewers, by not being truly aware of the impact that their voice has on this hobby. Now, we're going to pick on Mojosports here, but this applies to anyone. So please just bear with me as we do talk to it all, because it's a pretty interesting topic. Now, this all kicked off following my comment that I made on this post from Michael Rubin. Now, to give you a quick recap, because we did talk to this a day or two ago, that essentially Michael Rubin came out on behalf of Fanatics and said, we had this issue with the apparel business. This is unacceptable. We apologize. It's a mistake. We need to own it. This is me being accountable. And whilst it's really nice to see Michael Rubin be transparent like that, it was really disappointing to see so many influential people from the sports card space in the comment section praising him. And I said in my last video that this was disappointing because, Topps have had significant issues in the sports card space since Fanatics took over, right? Not just the duplicate one-of-ones that we saw in the last few days, but as we talked to many times, I think 5 or 6 times now over the last few months, you've had the backdoored cards with fake autos put on them that are now basically going into slabs that athletes have, confirmed themselves that they didn't sign those cards. You've had the missing super short print rookie cards. You've had loaded boxes. You've had all these sort of questions around, Topps and what they're doing, and they've not said a peep. So when you're getting so many people sort of praise Michael Rubin in this comment section from an influential sports card person perspective, that fills us with a lot of doubt about the hobby moving forward, because it sort of implies that there's so many people that are chasing Fanatics, chasing Michael Rubin, chasing Topps to try and get a sponsorship deal or be part of, the cool party, and they're not really going to call out the stuff that they should be. And this is disappointing because the people that are commenting this sort of stuff are very influential in this space, and the people that you would think would be standing up for their collectors, for the viewers, to say, okay, it's really cool, Michael Rubin, that you're transparent, but can you give us some commentary on this sort of stuff? Like, can you give us commentary on these missing cards or these backdoored cards? Because you need to fix that. It's not good that you're ignoring it. And that's the talking point today. And essentially, just quickly, the people that you're sort of seeing in this comment section praising Michael Rubin are the likes of Denny Cards, Dr. Collectible, Suns Fan 8. You've got Slab Stocks over there as well. Slab Stocks being the world's greatest scammers. And I've talked to that many times. Mojosports and quite a few others. And it was just, disappointing to see. But the reason why it's sort of relevant for today's video and why sports card influencers suck is off the back of my comment over here. So I made a comment basically saying, okay, this is cool, Michael Rubin, but now can you fix the duplicate one-of-ones or put out an update regarding the low-numbered cards stolen from Bowman Chrome before production? That's a big issue. Card Porn, even though they are a scammer themselves, were trying to help me chase Topps for this. They shared my video on it because it's a big issue where you've had cards stolen and nobody's said a peep. Nobody at all, not even Topps themselves. They've completely ignored the situation. And essentially what happened off the back of my comment was a mate of mine, Russ Westbrook Cards, who I had on my live stream the other day, essentially said, yeah, Dan the Cardman agreed. All these influencers here should ask the question rather than trying to suck up and hope for a party invite. Cough Mojosports, cough Jason, I think it's Ian Robinson. Now, Jason, I'm not sure who that guy is, but Mojosports being Mojosports, a very influential person in the sports card space, very fair question being asked, right? And Mojo actually clapped back, and the comments have now been deleted. So it looks like, Jason, aka Russ Westbrook, is talking to himself. But luckily, I knew a deletion might be occurring, so I took some screenshots. And there's some commentary here from Jay that I think, whilst might be picking on him a little bit, is a really clear indicator of where people in this space that have a big voice, that have a big following, let us down as collectors. Because he initially clapped back with a bit of a joke, which I thought was pretty funny. He said, Russ Westbrook Cards, you're invited to the party if you want to join. Love, crazy face. Jason replies and basically says, well, just don't try and be a saint for the hobby when you don't actually care, right? Don't try and say you're here for the good things when you're sort of going to jump down the throats and join in on the circle jerk with some of these large businesses and ignore like the true questions that should be asked. And again, that might be a bit unfair to put all that blame on Jay himself, right? But I'll get to my thoughts on that in a second. Mojosports then replies and says, you're the one claiming saint. Essentially, I never said that. At the end of the day, I'm a collector, hobbyist, and consumer. I don't break. I don't work for anybody. I go to shows, document the experience, and I'm part of this community. I don't lead. I'm a part of it. Now, this, second paragraph is key here. I'll get to my thoughts on that in a sec. Jason then responded and said, well, didn't you actually participate in that whatnot break with Pac-Man that was, sponsored by whatnot that had, the alleged, hot boxes and funneled cards within there. And then obviously once that comment was made, which is a pretty clever one from Jay, or Jay said, I should say, Mojosports went and deleted everything. But back to the previous comment, this is where I think people in this space let themselves down, because he says he doesn't work for anybody. He's just going to shows and recording things, i.e. he's just a guy with a camera talking about cards. And this is where these guys let themselves down, because you're not just a collector anymore, Jay. You're not just a random guy. You are an influential person within this hobby. You've got 40,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. I don't know how many followers you have on Instagram, and I'm one of your subscribers, by the way. I watch your stuff all the time, but you're no longer just a guy anymore. And you need to keep that front of mind when you're putting out content, when you're commenting on things on Instagram, because there's people out there watching you that are listening to what you say because they like you. They see all the cool stuff you do for charities. They see all the stuff you do for kids and trade nights and all this kind of thing. And they think, well, Jay is a really good guy. I really like him. I'm going to, follow him and lead by his example, or follow his example, I should say. Just like what happened with your whole Mark's card situation, where I literally commented the exact same things when that all popped off, because you came out and praised Mark's cards, talked about them being a family business and how, this is how businesses should be run. I think were your words. This is how it should be, I think is what you said. And then look what happened, right? Mark's cards, shit the bed. And maybe you, like I said at the time, just felt like you needed to say that because you are a nice guy. But, niceties fall out the window when you've got a following like you do, because people follow you, people listen to what you have to say, and you probably didn't do your due diligence as to how Mark's cards actually operated his business. I like to think you wouldn't have, given the crap we saw, but because you were so quick to praise him, there's very much a high chance that people watched your video and decided to go ahead and submit their cards with Mark's cards, which then went what? They probably lost out and had, cards or even money taken away from them, which is a really disappointing thing. And that goes to, my point or my grievance with the comment you made that also applies to almost every other content creator in this space. You have a voice. Your voice is a lot stronger than what you think it is. People listen to what you have to say, and you guys have an obligation to your viewers to do the right thing, to present things to them as factually and as accurate as possible. And you also have an obligation to protect their naivety. These guys are going to listen to what you have to say, and by you sort of praising certain businesses, or you coming out and talking up some things, or you talking up that you got a sponsorship deal, or you're participating in a sponsored break, and then you see something funny happen, but you don't say anything, you're letting down your viewers by doing that. And it's not, again, not just Jay that this happens with. It happens with so many other content creators in this space. They forget that they have the level of the voice that they do have. They're so quick to take all the benefits from this hobby, but they can't then take the criticism or pushback when they come out and say things or act in a certain way, and then get confused why they're getting, pushback. And I should, clarify here, I'm not trying to white knight. I'm not trying to be altruistic. I feel I fall into the same bucket as these guys where, you put out content, you deserve to be held accountable. And I'm just as bad or just as good as them. I try to be my best, and sometimes I've made mistakes, and sometimes, I've made comments and people have grilled me, but I sort of understand that the impact my voice has. I don't like shitting on Jay in this video. I don't like calling him out like this. I'm not that type of person. Some people might think that I am, given the nature of my content, but I'm not an overly confrontational person. I like to try and be as fair and balanced as possible. So doing stuff like this doesn't make me feel good. But when I see guys consistently come out and just say, support this business, or this business is cool, or they take a sponsorship from somebody, they don't think about what impact that might have on the people that watch. You have a strong voice. You have an obligation to protect your viewers, and you can't forget that. And I feel like so many of them do. When you push back on so many of these content creators, I'll say the same thing that Jay just said there. I'm just a guy filming videos. I'm just having fun. And that's fair to sort of think like that and feel that way. But you've now got 40,000 plus subscribers. You can't be like that anymore. You have an obligation to protect people. And the same thing goes for people that have 1 million subscribers, right? It's unfortunate that you still feel like you're a guy that just wants to have fun and go to card shows and give your opinion and talk about things. But, now that you have that level of influence, things change. It's the same thing for like actors and stuff where, a downside of what they have to do as part of getting paid the money they do and get like being an actor really is, they can no longer go out and be in the public eye and not be asked for photos and things like that. That's something that they have to deal with, and something that you have to deal with as a sports card influencer, which is a funny thing to say, is just be careful with the words you're using. Just be careful with who you're praising. And so many of these guys sort of forget this, and I think it's going to impact the hobby, in the future. And it's not meant to be a doom and gloom thing, but when you've got people like this that are continually coming out and praising businesses and not asking the tough questions and are maybe looking to maintain sponsorships or win sponsorships, or they have a sponsor. So, you know, maybe they're not being pressured to not say things by a sponsor, but they know if they say something, the sponsor might cut ties with them. There's all this sort of stuff that happens that needs to be handled a heck of a lot better, and it's not currently being done that way. And I'm really keen, like I said, to get your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Again, I'm not picking on Jay. I just thought that was a really clear-cut example of the disillusion that happens in this space. You're not just a random guy anymore. You're not just a guy that collects cards. You are an influential person in this space, and you need to remember that, because you have to protect your viewers. You have to protect your followers, because they're the only reason why you probably have relevancy in the first place. And the more you try and take and take and take from sponsors, and you're telling them to go after certain businesses or to use certain services, the more and more people are going to get burned, and that's not okay in my book. So, bit of a ramble today. I hope you guys liked it. Please share your thoughts down in the comments below. I just really want people to remember the impact that their voice has. I try to do my best with that. I think I fall into the same basket. I want people to hold me accountable just as bad as you do the others. But it's just an interesting one. I think the hobby just needs to be better. So it is what it is. I'm a bit concerned about what it means for the long term as well. You know, if we've got more of these guys sort of ignoring these issues that Tops have, and Tops are coming in now and sort of being that monopoly, they've got the licenses for 25 years or whatever it is. It's like, okay, who's looking out for us? Are we going to be screwed over as collectors and fans because these guys don't want to, you know, shake the beast? They don't want to upset the beast, or poke the bear, I guess I should say. But it is what it is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.